Hello, today is Thursday, April 8th, 2021. And so what we will be doing today is not that. Oh god, everything's broken. Okay. So what we will be doing today is we'll be working on, or we'll be trying to once again finish our clone of asteroids here. We are pretty close to finished with it. There's just a couple of last things we need to add. I think the camera's actually cooperating today, which is kind of a first. Oh, nope, it's not. Okay. Well, can try, can't we? Alright, so let's do that. Let's mess with that and mess with that. Oops, not that. Yeah, there we go. That's probably okay. Then we can discolor that. Yeah, I think I just made it worse. Okay. Apologies, I normally adjust the camera beforehand, but today I was not able to. There we go. Yeah, I think everything's fixed with the camera. Okay. So yes, we'll be working on our little clone of asteroids here. And then later on, there is what is it? I had it pulled up just a second ago. For the later stream, there is the Black and White Game Jam. That's going to be fun. That starts in 2 days, but I did want to do some work on the aesthetic that we're going to use. We're probably going to use like a monochrome thing. I wonder if we could wonder if they'd allow us to shift the color like as a setting. You know, have like just color shift every once in a while. That'd be kind of interesting, right? As long as it's still like monochrome. I don't know. Try that. But yeah, we're going to work on that later today, just the aesthetic for that. But now, at the moment, we're going to be working on our asteroids clone. So whenever this finally gets done, I promise I will release like the source code for it and everything. But I have done, I think, the entirety of the code on stream. I think a couple things I haven't done, like the buttons, I don't think I did those. But anyway, we have settings, we have the score stuff finally working. I think the score looks pretty good to me. Maybe we can have like, I was gonna say maybe we can have the top score, what's it called? Like flash different colors. But maybe not. Maybe it's not worth it. Anyway, so we can start. What we need to do is we need sound effects for the player spawn, the asteroid spawn, all that stuff. So let's mess with that today. Well, we also need like a, I don't know what the animation would be called, like a sort of create animation for the player. And I think we can do that by just having like a simple little circle that expands. So let's, I guess, work on that first. All we need on that 2D object, what do we need? Images, we have ships, no. Logo, effects, that'll work. So we'll have a circle. All right, that is much too large. So probably it'll probably start at 0 and then like expand out a little bit and then go away. I think we'll do that with it. So this will be the spawn effect for the player. All right. And so with that, all we need to do is we need to create some kind of script for that. We could create an animation for it, but I'm not going to worry about it. So this will be the spawn effect component. And it'll just do a very simple thing. Basically, it'll start at size 0 and then just expand a little bit and then just like fade over time. And I mean, again, we could do this with the Unity animator, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay. So we'll have void, we'll have private void, and then we can get rid of system collections and all that nonsense. So first we need to reference the sprite renderer itself, so we can say protected sprite renderer. This will just be the renderer. And then we'll say serialized field so that we can assign that in the inspector. You could always have like an awake function that assigns it for you. I'm not going to worry about it. And then what we want is we want the size to increase over time. And we want, I think, the transparency to decrease over time until it hits 0. So what we will do is we will say protected protected float, and then this will be the, I guess, not the duration, well, yeah, I guess this will just be the end time. And then we will have some, I don't know, public, no, not public, have a protected constant float, which will be the duration, or actually, we'll have one that we can assign in the inspector just so that it's easier. Just so we don't have to keep messing with the code. We'll just serialize that and we'll say 1.0. Then in private void awake, what we can do is we can say that the end time is equal to time.time plus the duration. So that way we know when we're going to destroy this thing. And so what we'll do is we'll say that the renderer, what we want to do is we want to change the size of the object in accordance with the, like, how far through the duration we've gotten. And then also the transparency. So those two are like in, I think they're inverses at this point. So we'll say that the delta, so this is the distance between, and I'll use float actually, this is the distance from the start to the end. So basically if the duration is 1/2 and we started at 1 second, at 1.5, because it would end at 2, at 1.5 seconds we'll be 50% of the way through, basically. And so what we want is we want the delta, and that's going to be equal to the current time minus, or I think the end, no, it's the end time. It'll be the end time minus the time.time divided by the duration, and that should give us the current delta. And so what we'll do is we'll say that the transform dot scale, or local scale I guess, is equal to vector3.1 times the delta, not delegate, delta. So this should go towards 0. Yeah, this should go towards 0. And so we actually want this to expand. So what we want is we want probably 1 minus the delta. Because what this will do, since this goes towards 0, dividing it will also make it go towards 0. And so what we'll do is if we have 1 and then we have something that's going towards, well, actually, wait a minute. Yeah, if we have something that starts at 1 and goes towards 0, then this thing will start at 0 and go towards 1. This basically just inverts the scaling on it. And since we're dividing this by duration, it will always have a scale of 1. That's why we're doing it. And then the sprite, or the renderer dot color is going to be equal to a new color. And what we need for that is we need the renderer.color.rgb, so .r, .g, .b, nope, that was control B for build, I think, .b, and then the alpha is going to be equal to the delta. Is that true? It's going to be, yes, because this will be 0 to 1. So it will start at 1 and go towards 0, which also, well, I mean, we might as well then just put this in here. And then we'll just use the delta itself. And I think that should be right, roughly speaking. So let's figure that out. So this is the spawn effect. So what we can do is we can add the spawn effect component. Then we just assign the renderer here. We also want a color copy component. And I think this works on a sprite renderer, is that right? Yes, it does, okay. So this will just cause the circle to have the same sort of, I don't know what you call it, LSD, like acid kind of effect that everything else has. So let's put this into prefabs and then we can get rid of it. I mean, we can actually make it 0, 0 as its scale, just to say. And then what we want to do is in, I think, the game manager. Where did I put that? There I put it, okay. I think we have an on player death somewhere. On player death, yeah. Invoke respawn on what? Ah, the player, okay. So that means in the player controller component we need a prefab. We need yet another prefab. Alright, so this will be serialized field. Be protected game object. This will be the spawn effect prefab. And so what we will do is in the respawn, we will just say game object effect is equal to instantiate. We'll instantiate the spawn effect at transform.position with quaternion.identity as the rotation. Then we will say effect dot destroy, or no, sorry, we'll say I think it's destroy the effect after effect dot duration. We don't have access to duration, but we'll make that public in just a second. Make that a property. So yeah, this will destroy the effect after the duration. I mean, we could have the effect destroy itself, but yeah. It works either way. Spawn effect. Oh, but actually that's probably better to have the effect destroy itself then, since we actually don't know what type this is. So we'll just keep it there. All right. So in the spawn effect component, what we'll say is in update, we'll say if time greater than end time, then we just destroy game object, and then we return because we don't want to do anything with the destroyed object. All right, that way it'll just destroy itself. I mean, actually, no, never mind. We don't need to do any of that. We can just say destroy game object after duration. That's what we'll do. So this will just destroy ourselves after a certain duration. That way we don't even have to worry about it here. All right. So now as long as we have the player and we I thought we would have a field for, did I not put the field as serializable? No, I did. In the player controller component, which should be the spawn effect prefab. Oh, there it is, okay. And we can just select that from here. So that'll be the spawn effect. All right, let's check that out and see if it worked. I should remove this, but I don't remember. I don't want to break it. That's my problem with it. All right, so let's start. Okay, that just needs to be much faster. That's all it needs to be. Okay, so spawn effect. Let's say the duration is 0.3 or 0.35. And also let's edit it so that it can have like a magnitude on it. So we'll have a serialized field. We'll have a protected float magnitude. And so what that'll do is that'll just tell us how large we want the thing to be. So we will say times delta times the magnitude, whatever that might be. That way if we wanted it to be half the size, we can make it half the size. If we wanted it double the size, we can make it double the size. So yeah. But I think at 0.3 seconds it's probably fine. But it also didn't look like it was getting an alpha value. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's getting the alpha value. It might be because the other thing is interfering with it. And if that's true, we could actually fix that. Because the color copy component, the HSV, but this doesn't respect the the color. But we could make it. I don't like doing this, but it'll work. So we'll just say that the var, we'll say color. So what we need to do is we need to preserve the alpha on this, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to store a copy of whatever the game manager has for easier reference. I mean, we don't technically need to. Just say target color.r and then gba and then the renderer color dot a. renderer.color.a. That way we read the alpha from the actual renderer itself, as opposed to just reading it from the game manager component. That way we can assign the alpha and the two scripts won't interfere with each other. I think the other way to do it too would have been having the second one run in the late update, and I think that would have fixed it, but I'm not going to worry about it. That was an interesting effect. Let's put the duration at 2 and see what we get here. Definitely not doing what I want. That way I can pause it and we can check on what's going on. Okay. So it actually looks like it does the inverse of what I want. Yeah, the alpha gets larger over time. Interesting. Oh right, that makes sense. Well, okay. Can remove this, and then we can add the 1 minus delta down in here because we want this to get larger, but we actually want the delta itself to get smaller over time. Alright, I think that'll work now. So in the spawn effect, we can put this back to 0.35, and then we can set the magnitude to 1, and I think that's fine. So it'll fade out over time. And that should be fine. And it should be okay because it starts really tiny, and it seems to like grow into existence. There we go. I like that. So if we die, yeah, we respawn. Okay, I like that. And the asteroids are okay because they just sort of grow into existence as well. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay. Alright. So that's one problem down. The next problem is getting shooting effects and all sorts of other things. So I think I have audio in this. Is that right? Yeah. It's not coming through my headphones. Filters. Properties. Do you need to go to hands-free? Is that what you do now? No? I'm not sure what that's playing to then. Why? Oh, there we go. It's just very loud on my headphones. Let me reduce that. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Alright. Yeah, just trying to get the audio balance right. Okay. And what we'll do is, I think this thing is called SFXR, is that what it is? JSFXR? Yeah, okay. So I think this can help us generate some sound effects, right? So we said like an explosion? Oh, interesting, okay. How does this actually... okay. Apologies, I've never used this, so... Oh, you can just download the .wave, I guess? Yeah, okay, sure. That'll work. Okay. Grab that. Interesting. So we have the hit. That actually sounds a lot like the sound effect from I thought asteroids, but maybe not. Oh, I like that, okay. And then I think all of that's fine. Maybe have that as the start? That might be fine. I don't know. Let's see how it works with the stuff that we have. Okay. So rather than music, sure. Create a folder for sound effects. SFX. Then let me go into here and grab all of these. Oh, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Why did that not do what I wanted it to do? Alright, that's annoying. Can you not import these as .wav files? Interesting. Let me get rid of those. Does it not consider that a .wav? So if I import you as that, whoops, that's not where that needed to go. Alright, I mean we can still sort out what's what. But I was hoping we could play this. But it doesn't seem to let us. I thought you could do that. I thought you could play these. There we go. That's probably the explosion. Let's see what this is. It's odd that these don't download with the correct name. That's probably the click. Then .wav on this. Ooh, that's weird. Oh my god. Windows File Explorer. Work with me. It's the hit. Then it's .wav. Probably don't want to play anything whenever they hit the asteroids. So this must be shoot. Cool. Okay, so there's a couple ways that we could do this. I think we have our sound effect manager. Yeah, we do. Okay, that's fine. So what we'll just do is we'll add, should be 4, right? No, it should be 5, right? Just add them to this, and I think I remember how this works. So we have click, we have explosion, we have hit, and we also have shoot. Okay. And so now to actually call this stuff, all we need to do is, I think in the UI, we have an example of this. Yeah, okay. So I just call click right here. And so this will play the click sound, or at least it should. Let's put all this in here. I think this is the last one. Yeah, okay. If you're wondering, all this does is it takes in that list of sound effects, which are audio clips, or it stores it, and then what it will do is it will create a dictionary from the name to the clip, and then using whatever the name we give it, we look that up in the dictionary and then play that. So that's how that works. That's why we can just add stuff to our music thing here and have it work. At least it should. What I will do is I will mute the background so that we can hear the other stuff, though. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So that does play. Okay. So what I also want to do then is I want to, like for all the different actions, we want to do stuff. So in the asteroid component, when it dies, when the asteroid gets destroyed, we want to say, I think it's the sound effect manager component dot play sound, or dot instance dot play sound, and this is the explosion. So that's the asteroid dying. And then when the player does a couple things, so when the player dies, we want to do something as well. We want to play the hit effect. Then when the player shoots, want to play the shoot effect. And we probably also want like a spawn effect as well, but this will do for now. Let's mute the background music for a little bit and see what we can get here. So we do get the shoot effect, or the play effect. Cool, there we go. I don't know, I'm kind of happy with that. Okay. I mean, our own death effect might need to be similar to... Yeah, that's a bit quiet. The hit effect, can I make that any louder? I don't think so, but I can make everything else quieter, I think. Is that right? Can't you make these louder and quieter? I thought you could. Like the default volume for them? Maybe not. Maybe that's the thing that I ended up doing. I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I think it's fine. So we also have the spawn and a couple other things, so. I think that's a good like spawn effect. So let me go not there, but into there, and let me get rid of all of you. Alright, and then we'll grab that. Sure. Yeah, for whatever reason, the dot wave doesn't work. Put that in there. The, what is it? The way, whenever that JSFXR thing doesn't rename them correctly. Like the naming part of the code doesn't seem to work correctly. And so if we just add something else here, we can have a spawn. So this will be when the player spawns. And so on respawn, we will add that. This will be spawn. And then we need to add settings for the sound as well. But after that, I think everything's fine. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Alright then. Well, I like that. We might even like want an engine sound as well, but I don't know. I don't know if the engine sound is worth it. Maybe like a super quiet version. Alright, that should... yeah, okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that all the other sounds are working. So, yeah, okay, that works. Good, happy with that. Alright, so I thought there was like an engine sound somewhere. Actually, let me look at this. Wondering. Yeah, I'm almost wondering if we could make something with that, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. I know that we had some other stuff. Sci-fi sound effects, yeah. I thought there was like an engine sound in here somewhere. No. Absolutely not. Maybe. No, those aren't going to work. So it's ambient space. Yeah, I kind of like that, just as part of the background. I don't know. Like that too. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll just have this as like some ambience whenever the game Hang on. Maybe we'll just have this as like some ambience whenever the game is running. Kind of like it. Oh. Maybe it'll be different. I'm not going to worry too much about it. We need to add sound settings. Yeah, we'll just ignore it. It's probably fine. Yeah, we need to add settings to the settings menu, which will be sound settings. So we can turn that on, we can turn that on, and we can turn that off. No, that off. And, oh yeah, also main off. Okay. So we have the, I think sound will be the first two. So you and you. You will be the all sound. And then this will be the music. And then sound effects. Or sound effects. Yeah, we'll just say effect. SFX. Yeah, that'll work. And then the label itself, we'll just say all sound. Well, just volume. Then this one we'll just say music. Music, if I can actually spell today. And then this last one will be SFX. And so it's going to be a question of how all of that gets set up, but we'll figure it out. And I think the values themselves need to be from 0 to 1, right? Or the sliders need to be from 0 to 1. So the min value is 0, and then the max value is 1, alright. And then how did we actually do this? Ah yeah, on value change, it's the game manager dot that. Ah, okay. So in that case, we need to go into the sound effect manager, and so we can change the sound effects this way. It's a question of, actually we can say serialized field. Well, actually, first let's change the sound effects, then we'll worry about the music and all that stuff. So what we want to do is, I think the on value changed will give us value display component dot set value. Yeah. That's correct. It's just this. So I think this works with a dynamic float, if I recall. So I think that means that we can do public float volume with a get set. I think Unity can work with properties in that way. I think it's smart enough. And we'll just set this at a 1 as the default. And so what we'll do is whenever we spawn the effect, we'll say effect dot volume is equal to volume. And then I think we'll also have a public float music, or no, SFX volume. So we'll say get and set. And then we'll have that at 1.0 to begin with. And then we'll say it'll be volume times SFX volume, because this is for like a sound effect volume. So I think the highest you can get here, if these are both 1, is a 1. And if either one is 0, they'll be 0. Otherwise, there'll be some combination of the two, which I think is exactly what we want. So in this case, I think all sound, we need to have the slider itself modify the sound effect manager. I think it's on the game manager, if I remember right. No, it's not. Okay. It's the sound effect manager. And it should have, yeah, okay, so it has the dynamic float here. So it'll modify the volume, and then the actual slider for SFX will do the same thing, but it will work on just the SFX volume. All right. So I think that will work. We need to have the menu active. Oh, I can't remember what needs to be active and what doesn't. I think that needs to be inactive and that needs to be active. I think that's how it works. All right. Let's see. Okay, so that is sound effects. All right. So we set the volume to 0. Now we have no sound. That's what we want. Okay. Set it back to 100. We have sound. All right. We set it to 1/2. It's much quieter. That's right. Okay. And so we put SFX down to 1/2, right? Okay. Put it back to full. Everything's right. Put it to 0. No sound effects. Awesome. All right. Cool. I like that. So now if we set both down to 1/2, get a very quiet version. All right, I think it's working. Okay, so now we need to modify the music volume. And so the way that we can do that is actually pretty easily. We can create a serialize field here. Serialize field. And then this will be a protected, this will be an audio source. Audio source. This will be the background music, whatever that might be playing at the moment. And then what will happen is instead of having the audio properties here, well, first we'll have public float music. Have get set. We'll say equals 1.0. But instead of having the audio properties, I keep wanting to say audio properties, and that's not right, it's auto properties. No, this needs to be an auto property. We'll have them actually set some kind of value. So I'm trying to think of exactly how to do that. Okay, so have public void, or not public void, but protected void update. Update music volume. And so what we'll do is we'll say that the music, the background music dot volume is equal to the volume times music volume, or times music. I think so. Yeah. Okay. We'll call this music volume. Why not? Nope. 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 Music volume. All right. And so what we'll do is in get and set, and in get and set, we need to modify both of these, because when the player modifies the volume, it needs to change both the music volume and the normal volume. So what we need to do is we're going to have like a backing variable that we create manually. And also, these need to be up top because they're public. That's a very weird way for that to do that, but sure. So say 1.0. Then we need a protected float. This will be the music volume. And then we'll need a protected float volume, like the, sort of total volume kind of thing. And so what we're going to do is in the volume here, we're going to say, whenever we get this, we're going to say just return volume. And then whenever we set it, we're going to have a little bit more complicated stuff going on. So we're going to say volume equals value. So value is a special, like reserved kind of keyword, or a reserved kind of thing that you get in a set or get auto property. And so value is what we're trying to set. And then we're going to say update music volume. So now anytime we try to update the music volume, they can have initializers. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Ooh, I just realized something. I think I just realized something. No, okay, never mind. I had some thoughts, but no, that's not gonna work the way I want it to. All right, that's fine. It was thoughts about something else. It wasn't really relevant to this. All right. Anyway, we're gonna do a similar thing here with the music volume. I'm gonna say the music volume is equal to value. And this should update the music volume. So now the music volume should update in real time as we modify the sliders. I think that's correct. And all we need to do is in the sound effect manager, just need to set the background music here, and we need to turn the background music on. So now, oh wait, actually, we also need to, in the sliders, to go into music itself, and we need to modify this sound effect manager. We need to have it change the music volume. That's what we need to do. All right. So now, we have the music playing, that's good. Okay. Now if we go into settings, that's interesting. I don't know why that's happening. Let us debug this. What are we getting here? Music volume is at 0. Why is the music volume at 0? Okay. That was odd. Hold on, let me check that. Oh, I think it starts at 0 because the auto... Right. Because the auto properties start at 0. Not the auto properties, but the properties start at 0. Auto properties are only whenever you have the auto implementation, so... Unfortunately. Alright. So now the music and the volume should start at 0. Alright, so in settings, we lower the music volume. Yeah, look at that. So if we lower it a little bit, we can lower it even further. Yeah, there we go. So now we can just mute it. Just mute that, yep. And so now we can just mute everything with volume. Cool, okay, so everything seems to work. Alright, I'm very happy with that. And we can of course mess with all the other settings, but we're not going to do that. Sure, play start. Yeah. Alright, well then. Now you can play Asteroids at whatever speed you want on whatever amount of drugs you want. Alright, I'm very happy with that. The death sound for the asteroids might be a bit loud, but you know, you can always turn down the sound effect volume. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this, actually. So the sound effects maybe down lower. Yeah, I kind of like that. Alright. Well, that's kind of fun. Alright then. That's a question of what do we do next? Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Guess we're restarting. Yeah, it's definitely a question of what to do next, because I think that's basically everything for this. So there were some other things. Someone said something about having the settings get saved between sessions. I don't know if I'm super keen on that. Just because I don't know, you could get the game into a state where it's very hard to change the settings again, and also it's just a lot more work. And I don't like the file I/O stuff that you would need to do for that, but you know, maybe. I would like to get this working as a web build, but I don't think it will because of all the post-processing stuff. I think that breaks it for some reason. Yeah. Anyway. The only thing that we really can't do is we can't exit out of the game. Like there's no, like the escape key doesn't do anything, and maybe it should. Maybe that's the thing we should do. Oh, I was trying to hit that asteroid. Okay. Alright. I'm trying to die so that we can actually get the high score. There we go. Alright. So yeah, scoreboard's working. Okay. Looks like 2 of the scores are from today. That's good. Yeah. I think basically everything works. Alright. So I think I'm going to take a quick break and just do a little bit of thinking. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Alright, and I am back. There we go. Okay. So I had hoped that if I were ever going to start a different project, that I would actually mute that. Where'd this go? Mute that. Okay. Hoped that whenever we would start the next sort of game project, I would have. Oh, hey, Eli? Elias? Sorry, I forgot how you wanted me to pronounce your name. Is it Elias? I assume that's right. But hey, how's it going? I think we basically just finished our Asteroids clone in all of its drug-induced glory. So yeah. So we're just about to start the next game. I think it's gonna be Pac-Man. Okay. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure I get that right. Yeah, how's it going? I don't know. I've seen you in, I think it was a Vulcan's stream, right? I think you're from Vulcan's stream. Also, he's streaming today, isn't he? Let me open this. Let me actually check that. Because I think that's true. And if he is, we can raid him later. Okay. So do you do any game development stuff, or do you just watch people? Because I don't know. I always wonder what draws people to the game development streams. I think it's kind of cool. Oh, you use Godot. Okay. Yeah, I've got to get. So, have you ever used anything other than Godot? Like, how do you think it compares to other engines? Like, I don't have any opinion on it because I've never used it, but I've been meaning to use it. But like, the problem is that I know Unity so well that it's hard to justify switching. So I'm wondering if it's worth trying out, or if it's I don't know. How do you think it compares? Tried Unity a long time ago. Didn't understand it. Yeah, a long time ago. Like Unity has gotten a lot better over time. Like I used Unity like a long time ago, like before college actually, and it was really tough. But I mean, yeah. Yeah, I've been meaning to try Godot, and I just haven't had a good reason to, but maybe I'll have to do it, maybe I'll have to do it for Ludum Dare or something, because I know Ludum Dare is coming up in like 2 weeks, so might be worth it. Do you know what programming languages Godot allows? Is it just, because I think whenever I looked into it first, or the first time, they only allowed like their own custom language or something, and I thought they were trying to get C# and JavaScript maybe, but I don't remember. The only stream I've seen of Vulcans, and I've used Roblox Studio. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been meaning to try out Roblox as well. I played that. That was before I used Unity. Actually, is whenever I used to play that. So that's how old my knowledge of that is. But I've been meaning to try that too, because I want to see what I can do in Lua. But yeah, What languages does Godot allow, or support, or however you want to phrase that? So let's try Pac-Man. Let's try to work on some kind of Pac-Man game here. But yeah, I'm very curious because I don't like, as much as I want to try a different engine. I don't know how keen I am on learning a whole new language for it. GDScript, which is very similar to Python, but I think can use C++. Okay. Yeah, I remember GDScript. Was it Python that I thought that it was similar to? Let me see. So, scripting languages. Let's see what it allows. So, recommend you start with GDScript. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so you can use C#. That's good. .NET. Oh, there's a visual language too. Oh, that's cool. I always like to see visual languages and see how far they've come. But this one looks pretty. Hey, Zaysha, how's it going? We actually managed to finish the asteroids clone. At least I'm gonna call it done, because you know how games are. They never actually get finished. Oh, you can use C# too. I hear it's not great to use though. You mean in Godel, I assume? Oh, Zaysha, have you done anything with Godel? Like, how does it compare to Unity? So we have the settings actually done too. The sound effects stuff works and everything. And we have the scoreboard working as well. Just gives you the date and the actual score, and they're also sorted by length and stuff, and they get remembered between sessions. But yeah, I think Unity has visual scripting too, if you like it. So Unity, I think they have plugins for it. I know they have the shader graph stuff, which is all visual, which I actually like that. Like, I think that the shader stuff should be visual. Like, I've done shaders in the shader language in Godot. Okay, yeah, I've done shaders in the shader language, and I've not been happy with it. Hey, Omar, how's it going? Everybody's here today. That's good. Yeah, got everything. I think we got everything basically running. I like GD script. Okay, then I'll have to give it a shot. Because I've always thought that Python was a pretty good idea for a language. But like, my feelings on visual stuff are, my main problem with the visual stuff is that a lot of it is just, it's not, like, a lot of visual programming languages just aren't mature enough to be decent to use. Like, if you already know how to program, the visual stuff just slows you down. But I'm kind of waiting for it to be, yeah, I prefer the power of Unity systems though. Visual scripting for Unity is called Bolt. Yeah, they have, well, there's a couple ones. There's Bolt, that's one plugin, and then there's, what's the other popular one? It's Playmaker, I think. Sorry, late because taking classes on coding. Oh, that's good. From zero? Yeah, well, that's good that you're taking classes. How are you liking the coding classes? Is that through, and also is it through like a university, or is it through like Udemy or something? Yeah, I think it's good that you're taking coding classes. I like it when people learn how to program. It's always cool. But yeah, the thing that I hope one day is that you can use, like, lambdas and streams and all that nice stuff. Dude, you got it? What do you mean? You got it? It's the site? Oh, Udemy. Okay. Yeah. Udemy's a good website. There's a lot of cool people on Udemy that know, that know a lot of stuff. Like, if I were going to learn something, I'd probably do it. Have a new visual scripting tool of dots. Really? Wow. That's got to be fun to use. Hold on, let me look at that. Unity dots visual scripting. Yeah, like, I keep hoping one day that the visual scripting tools will get, okay, purchase the course, okay. Not for production use, yeah. Okay, let's check this out. Okay. Ooh, so this is query stuff. Huh. That's interesting. It's like 35 hours of videos, 22 something gigs. Wow. Those are some super compressed videos. But yeah, that's cool. Well, I hope you like it. And if you have, I don't know, if you ever have questions about the Unity stuff, feel free to ask. From zero to make a 2D game. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the courses like that. A lot of people seem to have a lot of good luck with them, so I don't know. I've never used them, so I don't know. Like, Udemy was like a popular thing after I learned how to program, unfortunately. Like, I had to teach myself, and so that took forever. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's good. Yeah, tell me how it goes, because I want to know. I want to know if it's actually worth recommending to other people. Like, I know a couple people that are taking the Udemy courses, and they seem to like them, but I don't know. Always been skeptical of the online learning stuff. It's a good teacher, okay, yeah. Quality of the teacher is always super important. So this looks like the... So this looks like typical stuff, but it also seems to have this node sort of thing. Like I've not seen this before. So I assume this lets you add extra actions to this query, which I think that might be better and much faster than having you create new nodes and connect them up. But yeah, that's interesting. I think this is gonna... Oh, this is from 2019 though. Maybe this isn't what I'm thinking of. Maybe this isn't the thing. Oh, that's Visual Scripting 1.0. Experimental drop 10. So this one, is this more recent? This is more recent. So there are actually images of this? So this is dots, visual dots. Dots, second experimental. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm hoping one day that the scripting languages will be, the visual scripting ones will be advanced enough to use like streams and stuff like that, and it'll just be amazing. But on wait until. I mean, they might also be good for like coroutines. Yeah, dude, because you know me, I like to shred some stories of how I get bored in these classes, but this time I got it last night, and today, the whole day, I did only learning. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I know that's one issue with some of the online classes too, is that they can be like if the teacher's not good, they can be boring. But I don't know. I think he's learning. I would imagine Unity, right? Yeah, Unity. Okay. Yeah, I think Unity is a pretty cool language to start with. But Godot might also be good as well, because you do have the GD script stuff, and I don't know, GD script might be easier to learn than C#. I actually don't know. Because there's always been this weird sort of question in programming, is what language do you teach people first? Because I remember at my university, they actually did an experiment where they taught people, because our classes in university, they taught us C as our first language. And they did an experiment where they taught everybody like Python first. And what ended up happening was people mastered Python very quickly, but then whenever they tried to learn C, they had a lot of problems with it. So they actually stopped doing that. But yeah, it's very interesting to think about what language you teach people first, because it seems to have a pretty decent influence on what they can do later. Yeah, I think Unreal you can do a lot with the blueprint system. In Unity, I think it's called Bolt, you can do a lot with, or Playmaker, either one. But you can do a lot with the visual scripting stuff, but you can't, or at least whenever I tried it, you couldn't do like streams, and you couldn't do, link queries and stuff like that. And you couldn't do reactive stuff, and that was what drove me away from it, is that it's just too, it's like trying to build a house with, Stone Age sort of tools, and it's like, I just can't, I didn't know, and I am already in. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think C# is a good sort of first language to learn. It's probably I think it's probably better to learn C# first than it is to learn Python, just because C# has C# has more features. I mean, they sort of have different features, but oh. This is kind of annoying that this asteroid's just kind of hanging around the edge there, and I can't do anything with it because it keeps flittering back and forth. Oh, there we go. But yeah, I don't know. I think Unity's an okay first engine. Oh, that was unfair. Alright. Have you seen the Arcadian Rift devlogs on YouTube? I think he uses the blueprint system for that. Arcadian Rift? Arcadian Rift. Let's check out Arcadian Rift. I have not, but Let's look at that. Arcadian Atlas. There's no images of it. I don't want to play a YouTube video though. Let's see what this basically looks like. Arcadian Rift. I'm not going to play it, but... Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I think Hollow Knight... Oh, yeah. Oh, this is in Unreal, though. This is not in, Oh, the first image. Duplicate. And we go back. Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. Okay, so this is Arcadian Rift. That's a very low resolution image, but okay. This is in Unreal, though. This is not in Unity. You can tell it's Unreal because the Unreal thing has it down here. But yeah, the Unreal blueprints are okay. Yeah, Unreal. Unreal Engine 4. Unreal. Yeah, Unreal. Be warned, if you're gonna look at Unreal, the Unreal Engine, it requires some really beefy computer to run. It's pretty intense, but yeah. I was gonna use, originally I tried to use Unreal. The problem is that back in the day when they first released Unreal, it had this bug in the save system where it would run out of memory and then corrupt your project. And it was really nasty too, because you'd autosave and it would just fill up your RAM and then it would just die. And then your whole project would get corrupted, and I'm like, well, I can't really use this until they fix it. I don't want to use Unreal. I mean, it was a decent engine. The only problem is that it had the save issue, and I was like, well, I can't learn this if it's going to have the saving issue. Yeah, Unity's pretty good too. I mean, I use Unity because I like it, but yeah. I mean, Unreal, the benefit for Unreal is that it makes really good games because it's super performant. The games just look really nice. But Unity, the cool thing about Unity and the reason that a lot of people like Unity is because is that it's very customizable. Unity itself, it is a little simple too. Yeah, Unity is really nice because you can customize the build process, and so you can really make the executable size for Unity really, really tiny. And that's one of the issues with Unreal is that you can't do that. You can't strip out a lot of the stuff. And so what you end up with is that, yeah, Unreal games look really nice and they run really fast. The only problem is the executable's massive. And that's part of the C++ template system. It generates a lot of extra junk that you don't really need. And that's one of the issues with it. Whereas man, PUBG is made in Unreal. It's bad. So bad graphics in comparison to other games. Yeah, I don't know how PUBG gets away with it, but they just do. I don't really get it, but they just do. But the other thing about Unity is that it integrates very well with a lot of third-party tools, whereas Unreal doesn't have as many. But Unreal integrates very well with the artistic pipeline. And so that's one of the things that makes it work so well is that I think ZBrush and a lot of complicated art tools integrate almost directly into the engine. And so that's one of the things that makes Unreal really nice. I think most of the AAA industry, I think they're moving away from Unreal, and I think they're moving towards Frostbite, if I remember right, or in-house engines. Yeah, I think Satisfactory is made with Unreal. I think you're right. You look at other Unreal games, and then there's PUBG. Yeah, basically. I actually thought PUBG was a Unity game, but I guess it's Unreal. I don't know. Game engine. Does it tell? Yeah, it's made. Satisfactory, made by Coffee Stain Studios in UE4. Yeah. Yeah. It just looks so gorgeous. Yeah, I know. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Then is PUBG? Let me look at PUBG really quick. Is it really made in Unreal? It doesn't seem to say. Oh, PUBG programmed and designed inside of UE4. Okay. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I agree. I don't understand. Like, they must have had to do some work to make it look that bad. They really must have. But yeah, okay. Coffee stain also, really? Really, they did? Oh my god, I didn't know that. Is that a thing? Hold on. Cause like, Valheim is like an amazing game. Like, I saw that and I was like, that's just one of the best games ever created. Oh my god, they did. Because I've only ever seen like the Iron Gate logo. Yeah, okay, so that's what it is. So like I've seen, because I only saw the check it's Unreal 4. Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, so I've only ever seen the Iron Gate Studios logo for on Valheim, but I didn't know they published it. Wow. Oh wow, they've published a lot of stuff. Coffee Stain. Coffee Stain publishes Goats. Is that true? Oh my god, they do. They made Goat Simulator? I didn't know that. Oh my god. They made a ton of stuff. Wow. So they have Goat Simulator, they have Sanctum, they have Deep Rock Galactic, it looks like. That makes so much sense why all those games look so similar. Okay. Oh, that's crazy. Alright. So what else? Okay. So I was gonna... Oh, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, not gonna worry about it. Okay, so actual coding. It's going to do some stuff. I'm going to start on, I guess, Pac-Man clone, because why not? I have no idea how to do that, how to think through that, but we're going to. This needs to be in the one column layout, it needs to be down here. Never played Valheim. Oh my god, it's one of the best games I've ever played. Like, I loved it so much. It's basically just you are a Viking and you get to play against the world. It's like Ark, but instead of being stranded on, it's like Ark, but instead of dinosaurs, there's Vikings, basically. It's really cool. Like, just from a design perspective, it's just, it has that, like, super tight design and open world stuff that, like, Subnautica has. Like, Subnautica has, like, it's just a really well-designed game, and I think that's what I liked about it so much. That it's just, I don't know, you look at it and you're like, God, like, if you tried to design this, you couldn't have done it any better. But yeah, I played a lot of Valheim. Was not able to finish it, though. I kind of ran out of time. Saw a trailer quite early, put it up on Coffee Stain. Yeah. Yeah, it sort of took off in like early to mid-February, I think. Early to mid-February. But yeah, like just the style and the design of it are just really good. Okay, so how are we actually going to do this? So, script. I do want to see. That's not what that was supposed to open. Didn't mean to click that. Okay, don't worry about that. Oh my god. OBS. Stop being so terrible. What do you think? How much time does it take to make a 3D game? Omar, it depends on how good you want it to look. Yeah, it depends on what kind of 3D game it is. Yeah, I agree with that. Because like a 3D game, It's not too hard to make. Yeah, and how fast you are exactly. I'm trying to think of what I want to do with this Pac-Man stuff. People are speedrunning game devs now. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what. I'm not talking about myself. Yeah, people are. People. Well, I mean, people do like Ludum Dare and stuff like that, like the game jams. Like they try to make games in very short periods of times. Trying to make a 3D game. Oh, what kind of game are you making, Elias? And do you have any, I don't know, videos of it or anything? Because I'd like to see it. Okay, so we're gonna make a Pac-Man game. We should probably make an actual, I don't know, player? That's probably a thing, right? So 2D object, sprite, square, cool, we can do that. No, Pac-Man, sure, why not? So I think we can align ourselves to a grid. We can probably set this as, let's say 10. You are a first-person camera controller. Okay. So you control I can walk, yeah. Alright, so let's make our little player controller script. Player controller component. Yes. Okay. Come on. You can walk. Alright, so the thing about Pac-Man is that well, there's a couple ways that it works. I don't remember, does it... The original one has like a constant speed, right? And does it... A player with a camera on his head that can walk around. Sounds interesting. So for Pac-Man, I seem to remember that the character moves at a constant speed. I can't remember if it uses the last key that you pressed or the current key that you're pressing. I want to make a gravity system where I can have planets. Yeah, gravity systems. Gravity is always interesting. Because if you're making like a gravity system where you can have planets, I don't know much about Godot, but I would imagine you'd have to do the gravity yourself then. And you'd have to, I mean, unless you have like really simplified sort of gravity systems. There's a couple ways you could do it. But yeah, that's going to be interesting, having like your own, yeah, I don't know how you could do that. Having your own sort of physics and stuff. I mean, depending on what kind of stuff you want. Like I know, got a problem, I mean not a problem, but I mean it's not a problem, but I want the solution. Okay. So let's think about this. If we have private void update, right? There's always like whatever direction we're moving in and all that sort of stuff. Could just have the velocity be constant. Gravity is just to say the player moved down. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends though. If you want to have like, I'm trying to think of a game that does it, where like you have multiple. If you have only one gravity field in your scene, that's fine. But like if you have multiple gravity fields in a scene, it gets kind of iffy. I'm trying to think of a game that does it, but I can't really think of one. Okay, so we're going to have some kind of protected, we can either move through rigid body or we can move through lerping. Probably just move at a constant speed, right? So my Visual Studios does not tell me if there's any problem with my code and I have to save it and test it in Unity to see if the code is fine or if there's any problem. Oh, Omar, check up here. If this says my favorite little sim to do, gravity is fun. Hmm. Yeah, gravity is kind of interesting. Is there any extinction or extension? Made a golf game using gravity? Oh, that's gotta be cool. So Omar, check up here. If you have something here that says miscellaneous, that's some kind of bug, and I don't remember how you fix it, but I think, yeah, if it says miscellaneous up here, then there's something disconnected. You might have to destroy the project itself, or like if you go into your file explorer, in the assets, I think it is. Let me try to hide as much as I can with this. I can't because Windows is useless. Yeah, in your Unity project, there's a VS Code or VS config assembly and stuff like that. Yeah, just delete all of this and then create a new script in Unity and let Unity rebuild that solution, and that should fix it. If it doesn't, you might have to just reinstall Visual Studio, unfortunately. Yeah, it says, it'll say miscellaneous imager.mp3. Oh, that's cool. Is that a game that you made? Oh my god, that's insane. That's cool. I seem to remember there was like an Angry Birds game that did something similar to that, but that's cool. Oh, and it tells you what the projected, so it shows you where the ball is going to end up. Oh, that's cool. I don't know how you do stuff like that. Yeah, that's cool. So does it... Huh. Not sure how that would work. I'm trying to think, I imagine it computes... I imagine each planet has its sort of own little... Like, I imagine you use the equation for, like, gravity between two bodies or something. I can't remember what it is. Gravity between two bodies equation. I seem to remember there's a gravity. Universal gravitation. You want me to delete? No, you don't have to delete all your code. You don't have to delete all your code, but I think you can use this equation for gravity. I assume this is what you're using, Zaysha, or something similar to this that looks decent for a game. I assume that's what you're using. I don't know. I think that's what people use. So you can duplicate your code. You don't have to delete all of it. You just have to delete that file, or the VS project file, and let Visual Studio rebuild the assembly. So like if you go into here, into your assets folder, if you click show and explorer, you should get a thing. So you should get a thing like this, and all you need to delete is this stuff. This won't delete your code, because your code should be like down in here. But what it will do, actually I'll just do it and show you. So if I delete these, we need to get rid of this, don't save. So you see I deleted it, and all I have to do is reopen this, and it'll rebuild the solution for me. Or at least it should. There we go. And so, yeah. But now if I open this again, you see how it recreated it? That's what you want it to do, is you want it to recreate that solution and then associate that file with it. Yeah. I made gravity for this game. Has a thing... Godot has a thing I can make move with collision and stuff, so I just have a downforce variable that keeps getting bigger. Let me mute this. WASD to move. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. So space to shoot, W and S to move. Hang on. What? It's W and S to shoot down, A and B to shoot down and go right. A, Q, and D. I don't understand. Oh, so the shooting, okay. I see. Okay, so the shooting is what gives you the actual velocity. Okay, that makes sense. It's like the helicopter game. Oh, just A and S. Okay, okay, I see. Yeah, it really feels a little bit like the helicopter game from ages ago. Okay, that's neat. Oh my god. Nope, nope. You can't ever go down, though. At least it doesn't seem like you can. Okay, there we go. Got past the first part. Thing is that I'm kind of impatient, so... Oh god. That's actually quite challenging. I like that. That's, that first part is just... terrible. Alright. There you go. Yeah, if I had more patience... Oh, it's procedurally generated, it looks like. Okay. Alright, I'll give it one more try after this. If you get 100 points, you're an epic gamer. How do you actually get points, though? Okay. Oh god, it's a question of which way you go. Oh, I assume destroying the robots gets you points or something? That's a question. What should we do? Go this way. No. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Alright, I like that. That's cool. You get points by killing robots. Ah, okay. So you have to kill 10 robots to become an epic gamer. I see. Might have to do that someday. But not today. Yeah, that's a cool little game. It's actually really fun. I assume you made that for... Was that made for a game jam, or was that just made as an actual, like, sort of project? And actually, is the source code available for that? Because I'd like to see it. I don't know, I'm always interested in seeing how other people implement things. Also, why does... Oh, that's why, okay. OBS being weird. Okay. So in private void update, we can say that the transform.position is equal to not lerp. We can add something. No, I don't know. Level generator has, I think, 7 levels. Where you go further, it makes, and when you go further, it makes new levels. Okay. And I'm trying to think of how Pac-Man works, and I can't remember. I legit cannot remember, or I can't think of how. My brain can't think of how it would work. Because I know that you move around, but I think it snaps to a grid. So I think whenever it needs to search for the new, it says the thing. Oh, really? Has anyone ever seen where, like, instead of assembly C# here it says miscellaneous, and does anybody know how to fix it? Does anybody know how to fix it? Because I don't remember how you fix it. I know that I've seen it before, but I've never been able to reproduce it, so I've never been able to figure out how to fix it. If I release the source code, your eyes would fall off. Have you seen the stuff that I write? Actually, Elias, I don't know if you've seen it. Actually, let me show you something. Let me show you something that'll make your eyes fall off, actually. This is going to be pretty funny. This was something we did. I think this is it. Yeah, actually, let me show you something that I don't know, you'll like this. So a couple days ago, I got kind of bored. Well, not kind of bored. I figured out how to do something that's terrifying. Um, so I made this game of Snake, right? So you might think this looks like a normal game of Snake, but this is actually made without using any semicolons at all in the C# code. So you can guess how horrible the code actually must look. So for an example of that, let me show you. This is me getting like super bored one day, but yeah, I think it's in the player. Yeah, so this is the sort of code that you end up writing whenever you don't want to write any semicolons. And so, yeah, it gets really fun. But yeah, you can do some of the most ridiculous stuff you've ever seen. Yeah, it's good. I was just wondering if it was sitting anywhere because I like to snoop through other people's code. But yeah, this is C#. This is how you write C# with no semicolons. It's a lot of fun. It's also pretty terrible. How did you even make Snake without it? I did it this way. It's pretty awful. Um, so I did use them in the using statements, but that's just because you can do, like if I wanted to get rid of them, I could do this. And this is functionally equivalent. So for instance, I could do like that. And now the file compiles, but it doesn't have any semicolons. So I did use them in the using statements. But other than that, like in all of like the player controller, like you can see that the only two are right there. It's pretty funny. I streamed how I did it. I streamed most of it, but there's basically some like minor exploits you can use in these old C equivalent or C derived like C syntax kind of languages. And like the main ones are whenever you want to assign something, how do you tell it to do stuff? So it's pretty easy. So for instance, like if you, so this is like an old trick in the C languages. So what you can do in an if statement is whenever you do an assignment like this, it returns the value of the variable. So this actually returns previous position dot vector 3. So we can do an assignment here as long as we compare it to something. And so this comparison is meaningless. So all we do is we execute this part of the code. And so that's how you sort of tell it to do stuff, is you can set different values. And then whenever you want to declare like local variables, what you can do is you can use a for each loop like this. And so what I do is I declare this literal list, and what will happen is this variable will get stored in here, and then the for each loop will unpack it for us. It'll basically unpack this list for us. And so that's how we can store variables, because it terminates the line without a semicolon. And so then we can call like default unity methods and stuff, but yeah, we just basically set the transforms and all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm trying to make a video explaining exactly how all this stuff works. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Trying to think, what's the other interesting stuff that this does? Oh yeah, and if you want to call, you can also call methods with that assignment thing too. But you can't call void methods because they don't return anything. So what we have to do if we want to call like scene manager.load scene, since it returns void, what we can do is we can actually store it in an action here. And then what we do is we just use the actions .method thing. Vector3 equals 0, equal to 0, it does not mean anything. Yeah, if vector3 is equal to 0, it doesn't mean anything. I don't know that you can even do that though. I don't think you can do vector3.1 equals 0. I don't think it'll let you. Because, yeah, you can't compare a vector to an integer. But you can compare two vectors. But yeah, we can store this in an action, and then we can use the action's method value here, and then we can invoke it, because the method object in C#, it can't, like whenever you convert something to a method, the reflection type method, it can't remember that it's a void method. So the invoke method for method itself always returns an object. And so that we can then compare that to null. And so that's how you can execute void methods. It's pretty stupid, but you can do it. But yeah, that's basically how we do all this stuff. It's pretty hacky and pretty funny. But yeah, that's so yeah. My eyes won't fall out. I've already like destroyed my brain with this. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun figuring this out on stream. I think it took me like 4 hours to figure all of it out. Yeah, really do a lot of hacky, cheaty stuff. And the only other weird thing we had to do was like to store data. I ended up storing it on like Unity components. So for instance, the let's say like the tails like previous position, it gets stored into a transform here. So that's what all these data objects are, is they just store different data fields for me. But yeah, you can write, and it turns out that you can write an entire game in Unity without using any semicolons. Now the problem is that it's very inefficient, and so what happens is whenever I have like more tail segments, it will actually slow down the game to the point where I think it eventually crashes. But yeah, that's what I like doing with my time. But I was inspired by like a video from Naveen Labs, I think. He did like a Java thing where you could print "Hello World" with no semicolons, and I was like, how far can you take that joke? And it turns out you can take it pretty far. So the UI in my game does not stick to the screen because I did not know how to do that. Yeah, it doesn't stick to the screen. I mean, you could. Well, actually, I don't know anything about how Godot actually works. But yeah, Unity has some weird UI stuff as well. Yeah, I think we can see. Well, I'm not gonna play this for too long, but you know, that's the kind of stuff I do in my spare time. Is I write code with no semicolons because I'm crazy. But yeah, I noticed the UI doesn't stick, but I mean, I think it's fine for your game because, well, I think it's probably fine for your game because whenever the player dies, they reset to the beginning and then they can see their score. So your score is only relevant whenever you're dead anyway, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's my kind of coding. Alright, so Pac-Man. I gotta think about this. There's also... let me think about this. So Unity, VS, for visual... I think the easiest way to do it is to use visual scripting. Yeah, but that's cheating. I mean, yeah, I guess you could, but... miscellaneous files, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of cheating, right? I wanted to see how you could do it, and that game was not. Oh, okay, it was not for a game jam. Okay. So he's already downloaded it. Seeing this, Visual Studio is not properly synced. Just seeing plain old C# file, Visual Studio Editor, external tools. So Omar, you could do this and make sure that your external tools has Visual Studio set up. That might be part of the issue, but maybe not. And just really quick, it's in project settings, or is it in preferences? No, it must be in preferences, right? It's probably edit preferences. Yeah, it's in preferences. External tools, and then over here, there's this sort of thing here where you can select what you want. And I think you can also regenerate the project files as well if you want to. Actually, clicking this might just work. I don't know, but it might. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. The easiest way to do it would be without visual scripting, or I guess you could also use a language. Are you in VS Code or Visual Studio? Okay. Zaysha's on it. Zaysha knows. I think Zaysha knows how to do this. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could, or you could just use a language. You could just use a language that supports programming with no semicolons. But yeah, I thought it was pretty. I don't know. I thought it was pretty clever to figure it out. I also I ended up making like a FizzBuzz program in Java, and that used like no semicolons, there was no mathematics, there was no if statements, there's a whole bunch of just stuff that you don't need. I don't know, I think it's fun to try to program in a language without using half the features. Just to see if you can actually do it. But anyway, probably need to store a direction. So protected vector3 direction. Then I guess we can move, we can say, I'm trying to think of how Pac-Man actually works. Because I think there's a certain like sort of dead zone when you go from one tile to the next where you can change the direction and otherwise you can't. I think that's true. So we could just have it say if, so really what we want to do is we want to have transform.position plus equal to direction times time delta time, something like that. You have the Unity extension installed. Do you need, well, I mean, I think, well, no, I'm not going to say anything. I don't actually know. I think this is fine, and then I think we can say if input, no, not indexer, input dot get axis horizontal. No, actually the direction, no, if input get key down, key code dot w, direction would be vector3 up, vector3 up, yeah, something like that. So that's w, and then a would be down. Oh, whoops, nope. Alright, so we have key code A, which is going to be dot right, or no wait, dot left, and then dot right. Then we'll work on limiting it to just whenever we're about to enter a space. Alright, I think this will work over time. It should work. Let's see. Player controller component. Do that. So we should move automatically. Oh, we won't move because, first off, I don't need this. First off, the direction itself needs to be equal to vector3 dot, let's say, right. Start moving right at the start. I think that's fair. Actually, I don't know how you stop in Pac-Man. Well, I guess you would stop if you hit a corner, right? I guess that happens, yeah. So now we can, that's interesting. So we can move down with W, oh, wait. Oh, I didn't change this, that's the problem. Int main printf hello world return 0. Huh. I have int main if print hello world return 0. Ah, so we'll say in Unity you don't need a main method. Yeah, if you have Unity you don't need a main method. I don't think you can do anything with the main method in Unity, can you? I don't think so. I don't think that's the thing. Okay, there we go. Now we can move all the different directions. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to check if we're about to enter some kind of space. And then if we're about to enter it, then we read the player's input for a certain amount of time. And then whenever we reach that, that's when we actually do the direction change. I think that's right. But the problem is how do we get like the before kind of thing? So I guess we can say protected void handle input. Do that. That's fine. Then we need to check for basically like the dead zone before we enter a well, actually, no. All we need to do is we need to check on the frame where we are about to change direction. So I guess protected, this will be the protected vector 3 next square. I think that'll work. So we'll say that in private void awake, the next square is going to be equal to transform.position. I guess what we'll say is if the vector3.distance, so we want to say if the distance between our current position and the next square, is less than, let's say, I don't know, a 1/20th of a unit, then we want to say that the next square is equal to new vector3, and we say we want to round our current position to an integer and then add it to the direction. So we can say var current, actually no, let's say mathf.round to int, transform.position.x plus mathf.round to int, transform, or I guess direction, direction.x, and then the same thing with direction.y, and then we can just leave the z as whatever. If input.input, I'm going to delete vs, input.get key down keycode.w, transform.position.c, something as such. So this should compute whatever the next square is. And then that way we only use the direction that we're holding at the moment that we get to the next square. We make sure that we add them as integers so that we don't get that much round-off error over time. I think that's right. And this should be the only time that we actually read what the next square is. But then we can change the direction at any moment. So, I guess here's the only time we want to do handle input, right? I think that's right. And so now we should move sort of in discrete kind of units. So I hold up. No, that doesn't work. Oh, I don't want get key down. I want get key. Usually use get key down, but I think here we're going to use get key because this only should happen. We're already limiting the number of frames that we're going to call this to exactly 1, so it should be fine. Because otherwise the target gets reset. So if we hold up, yeah, so we start moving, okay. And so to visualize that a little bit better, what we can do is we can add, let's say, something that looks kind of like a wall. And we'll call this a wall. And then change it to some horrendous blue color. That's probably fine. All right, so yeah, let's say we have, I don't know, a wall there, and a wall there. Something like that. Okay, now we should move around those in kind of like even increments. Whoops, that's not right. Why did that? Oh, I didn't remove the player controllers. It's almost like a Baba is you kind of moment, where like just the entire level moves. Okay, so now if I hold up, yeah, we move around these. Ooh, not in even increments. Interesting. Why did that not work? Next square. Oh, we probably need to snap to that position, right? Probably also need this. Then we probably need to say that the transform.position is equal to some new vector 3, where we sort of snap to. Well, actually, next square is guaranteed to be a vector. Is guaranteed to be a an even increment anyway, so we can just say that the position is equal to that. There we go. And that will just cause us to snap to a position. There we go. Now we kind of move in like even increments. I mean, we can still move on to the walls, but that's fine. But this way, yeah, it's just whatever key we're pressing at the moment. Okay. And so now we can have some kind of speed. So protected float speed. I think this will be the last thing we do for this stream. And then we'll do something. I don't know. Probably raid someone if there's someone to raid. Let me mute this, and then let's do this. Okay, so this is still at speed 1, that's right. Alright, let's say, I don't know, speed 5, sure. Oh my god. Oh, that's interesting. So if it goes too fast, this never triggers? That shouldn't happen. That never triggers. Why does that never trigger? Oh, because maybe this is too fine? I don't know how we figure out then if it would overshoot. Ooh, that's interesting. I think we actually need to check NL means next line. Okay. NL means next line. I'm not sure what you mean. Actually, I think what we can do is we can say next square minus transform.position. So I think what this will do is this will give a positive number. So I think we can say 0. If it's less than or equal to 0, dot magnitude. Wait, is magnitude always positive? No, it's not. No, wait. I'm trying to get a negative number if, magnitude should always be positive, shouldn't it? I don't think it could be negative. Oh my god. How would I figure that out if it wouldn't be the distance? That's not what I want. I want like the distance in a direction. How would I do that? I actually don't know that. Am I just crazy? Well, I'll think about it between streams. That's what I'll do. Let me see. Vulcan Storm's. Oh, wait. So Vulcan Storm is streaming, so I'll just raid him. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will be live a little bit later in a couple hours at 3 p.m. US Texas, and we will be working on like some aesthetics for the black and white jam. Quick question. Okay, I'll answer that before I go. Int max 1000 new line is equal to. Oh, okay, I see. That's what the NL is for. Int min is equal to, and guess, then further code. How is that working? Because min already has a value. So in programming, you can assign multiple values. So like for instance, like void, I don't know, some method. You can say like int, what do you have? Int max equals 1000, 1000. Int min is equal to 1, and guess would be equal to 500. So you can do something like that. So these are mutable. That's what, if you ever hear the word like mutable versus, or I'll say min is equal to guess, right? If you ever hear the word mutable, that's what this means, is since min is considered mutable, so you can change the value associated with it. if you put read only, can you put read only in a method? No, you can't. Okay. Oh, wait. Really? It's not valid. Okay. I mean, so I guess you can put constant. Yeah, so if you put constant here, that will tell it, yeah, that'll tell it that you can't change it. And I think also it optimizes it a little bit, yeah. But if you ever see the word constant, that means that min right now is immutable, and it'll tell you, hey, you can't change this. Because it's already been... That's an interesting error. The left-hand side must be a variable, property, or indexer. That's an interesting error. That doesn't... So it considers a constant to be something different than a variable. I mean, that makes sense, like, in terms of definitions, but that's not usually how people use that word. People usually call this a constant variable, or a final variable, or a read-only, or whatever. That's very interesting that it generates that error. It should be telling, because I would expect the error to be that you can't assign min because min is constant. That's very interesting to me. Okay, C#'s being derpy, but alright. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later. Well, whenever the raid goes through, that's what I'll do. Anyway, yeah. Well, I'll be back later with some stuff, because we're going to do the black and white jam, which is in 2 days, I think it starts. We're going to work on some aesthetics for that later. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.